tragedies. In college football, there have been up to 36 deaths from attacks associated with the low-balled sickle cell genetic trait alone. These are set against the sobering backdrop that student athletes are as much as 4.5 times as likely to die non-traumatically during conditioning than they are from blocking and tackling during the games themselves. A simultaneous American male problem here gets framed in more broadly pitched social commentary. By many measures, boys today are falling behind in school, and men in work life follow in their lagging footsteps. Growing up, or not, they drive metrics of deaths of despair and others of dysfunctions in relationships and child rearing. Yet, without a doubt, the spectacle of football endures and thrives. It's TV and device-friendly and diabolically conducive to the coast-to-coast expansion of above-board gambling, which our society used to confine to enclaves such as Las Vegas and Atlantic City. The American libertarian current runs deep, and the human tropism for look-away passes is powerful. Episodic evidence of late-life mental deficits for famous football veterans is frighteningly real for the people who suffer them and for the loved ones who have to deal with them. But it also hands to apologists and fence-sitters the advantage of remaining ill-defined and abstract. Those familiar with the traumatic brain injury (TBI) debate have long understood that the crowning argument about concussions should be that none of this was ever in the first place about concussions per se. The process leading to chronic traumatic encephalopathy (CTE), a condition by which deposits of tau protein cause the brain to lose impulse control and other basic functional regulations, results from an accumulation of blows, often dozens, scores, or hundreds of them across time, whether or not any of them met the clinical criteria or eye candy of concussions. Moreover, these blows aren't even necessarily direct shots to the head, certainly not always the most obvious or photogenic ones. They can also simply be body blows with such force and awkwardness that inertia causes the brain to slosh, unhinged, inside a skull more loosely containing it than we realized. Over time, the brain scars, in some cases even tearing at the stem. Further lost in the polemical shuffle is the nuance that whereas known events such as brain bleeds or spinal cord injuries are discrete and acute, in numbers we can compile and debate over trade-offs, CTE itself is a bit of a catch-all, elusive yet chronic. It remains a largely silent silo of harm, unprovable in individual cases prior to post-mortem autopsy. Today, some of the most committed researchers in the field are devising imaging techniques that might break through to a standard for detection of CTE in the living. They believe this will be a game changer in the public debate. Take it from me, and don't bet on it. The industry's robust manufacture of doubt will always outpace the production of compelling but merely suggestive data. And the thing is, the scariest part of this story of our systemic national mental health debasement, with eyes wide open, are these very nuances. So here I turn to the mission of enlightening a larger audience on another phenomenon, football conditioning deaths, with special moral urgency for those afflicting the non-professional and those so young that they don't even have legal agency. For purposes of this discussion, comprehensiveness is as unnecessary as it is unattainable. I've chosen to develop full narratives targeting 3 common associated etiologies: bronchial asthma, exertional sickling, and exertional heat stroke. But more important than the foreground facts, which with all respect to the bereaved families always seem much more alike than different, are their institutional backstories. Transforming our grasp of how these stories are clusters, not isolated incidents, requires a sense of proportion lacking in the entertainment values of conventional coverage. While mulling whether football belongs in our public schools, we should consider that when you screw up the hire of an algebra teacher, you might momentarily impede the aspirations of a hungry learner. But when you screw up the hire of a football coach, you might wind up killing a kid and maiming many others. Youth football conditions